Dear viewers, welcome to our program dedicated to Youth Club and Yankı. Today we have the pleasure of conducting an interview with Firdevs Dilekçi. Before we begin with the other questions, could you tell us a bit about yourself?
Hello, my name is Firdevs Dilekçi. I am 17 years old and I am currently a senior in high school. I live in California, United States.
Okay, thank you so much. Can you tell us about the journey that led you to become a writer?
I have loved reading books from a young age, and I had a curiosity for novels and poetry, which might have been influenced by my father as well. My father used to write poems, and I always looked up to him for inspiration. I can say that I come from a family of readers. From elementary school onwards, I had occasional experiences with writing short stories, but this project was definitely my first experience in writing a novel.
What inspired the idea for your book?
As someone who values human rights, I have been a witness to the injustices happening in Turkey, especially over the last decade. It was my responsibility as a human being to take a stand against these injustices that directly or indirectly affected my family and my close friends. When I was in the stage of preparing for college, a passion project came to mind, so I decided to write a book. I didn't really need to think much about the topic because I had been involved or closely witnessed these very current events. So I conducted interviews with 7 or 8 families, and I created a fictional family inspired or based on the things I have learned through my interviews. I decided to use this family as a focal point to convey the oppression experienced by these individuals in the book.
Are there any specific themes or messages you try to convey through your writing?
Actually, there are 2 main messages that I try to convey through my book. The first one is to raise awareness of the social genocide perpetrated by the Turkish government against a group of people and ensure that it is recorded. And my second main message was to emphasize that goodness and having a good heart has no nationality, and that we should not have collective prejudices against a group of people or against any nation.
Do you find that your personal experiences influence your writing?
Personally, I haven't faced many difficulties during this period, but of course, I witnessed firsthand the experiences of my family and my close relatives. From a young age, I have seen my loved ones being sent to jail. And at that point, I couldn't really understand why everything was happening. So it really affected me indirectly.
What challenges do you encounter while writing and how do you overcome them?
As I mentioned at the beginning, I started this as a passion project for college in 10th grade. But approximately a year after, in 11th grade, due to the extra lessons and school, I couldn't really concentrate on my book and took breaks like any other student. I was constantly procrastinating, and I couldn't really find the time to write the book. However, the subject of the book was still very much alive, and we were witnessing new hardships every day. At some point, I came to believe that this book had a significance beyond just an assignment or a project, and so I gathered myself to continue. I believe that I had a humanitarian responsibility towards the living heroes of my book. And throughout this process, my parents really helped me to write the book because they kept reminding me of my purpose and why I started writing in the first place.
Are there any authors or books that have had a significant impact on your writing style or genre preferences?
A book that had a significant impact on my writing style would be The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak, and an author that inspired my genre preferences would be Victor Hugo.
What advice would you give to aspiring authors who are just starting on their writing journey?
I believe that I am not an expert on this topic, but we should all engage in quality and conscious reading, starting with ourselves. Personally, I emphasize reading novels. By reading world classics and various types of novels extensively, we should strive to achieve an effective writing style. If we want to address the whole world, we have to have a strong and influential expression. Alongside this, even if it's amateurish, I highly encourage everyone to start writing. The more you write, the more you can improve yourself.
What do you hope readers take away from your books after reading them?
First and foremost, the world is our shared and common home. We can make it better together. I believe that we need to collectively oppose injustice happening around the world and support all goodness. If a fire is burning somewhere in the world, we cannot truly protect ourselves by closing our ears and our eyes. In short, it's about awareness. Whether the book will sell or how many people it will reach, I honestly don't have an idea. But at least as a young person, I can say that I have expressed my awareness and perhaps left a mark in history.
Can you share any insights into your future writing projects or upcoming works?
I believe that there are many topics that have to be written about, and there are different and more severe genocides happening in other parts of the world, like the Uyghurs, the recent events happening in Kurdistan, and so on. For example, we can also talk about interesting stories of people who have managed to make a life in Europe or the United States, and their successes or adaptation processes. During the last couple of weeks, I was reached out by some survivors in the United States, the survivors of the July 15 coup attempt. And so I think that there are a lot of stories to share, and there are a lot of stories that need to be heard about. So as time and opportunity will allow, maybe I can think of a few more books in a similar framework. I definitely want to continue my writing career in the future.
Thank you so much. Today, as a Youth Club and Yankı family, we want to express our heartfelt thanks and thank you for taking the time to be with us.
Thank you for inviting me.